Hey guys, it's Sam and I am going to start a reading vlog for Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Is this a book that I thought I was possibly never going to read? Yes. So it's stunning that we're here. When this book first came out, I was in the middle of a anxiety flare that was really horrible, and this book has a ton of triggers for like supernatural content that doesn't work with me when my anxiety is flaring really bad. But this year I have gotten my anxiety more managed again, so we're back to a place where I think I can read it. I'm still being cautious. There's still a chance that this video will never see the light of day because I'll have to DNF this book, whether, well, if I hate it and DNF it, I'll probably still put the vlog up, but if I can't because of anxiety, I probably won't. But my friend Sarah Jane of the Book Life and I are reading this around the same time, and she's already about 100 pages into it and liking it so far, and I said that there shouldn't be any problems for me thus far, so we'll see how this goes. I also kind of felt like I wasn't going to read it at one point because a lot of polarizing opinions have come out about it and most of my friends have not enjoyed it, so I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to risk being scared for something that isn't even that good. So I don't really know I'm gonna feel. Like, I'm going in with like fairly low expectations, which might mean I might like it. I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna feel. So here we go. Hi, so it's day 2 of me reading this book. Yes, I just ate some Ben & Jerry's ice cream, as you do. I'm about 90 pages in. I'm gonna read a little bit more tonight, but just to check in with like the first 100 pages. I don't hate it, but, and I think I like the atmosphere and stuff, but since it's jumping between like 2 timelines, one with Darlington, one with Alex, it's like, you know, stuff hasn't started coming together yet, so I don't really, like, it's just kind of like world building, and I think people have said that this book is kind of slow at the beginning, so I could see that, for sure. So yeah, I'm not like wanting to stop reading it or anything, but I'm not like hooked by any means. You know, like the eerie sort of society setting is enough to kind of be like, okay, let's see what this is. Let's see what this is all about. There's also enough mentions of like some witchy stuff that I'm into that I'm kind of digging. Like there's like been some tarot mentions, astrology things, crystals, things like that. So I'm like, yeah. But otherwise, like nothing really has happened except for like the first scene, which I've heard people talk about being like, ugh, at the beginning. And it is kind of like, okay, so this society uses basically people in institutions that are disabled, takes them, cuts them open, and uses their insides for divination. I mean, that really sets the tone, but like, ugh. So yeah, I just don't know enough yet to make any kind of judgments, but so far it's okay. So I forgot for a little bit that I was supposed to be making a reading vlog for this book, but I also haven't been reading a ton of pages a day. I am up to page 267, so a little over halfway through it. And so far, it's fine. It's starting to kind of pick up. So the Glauma or whatever attacked Alex, so that was kind of creepy. Some of the ghost stuff is like, I don't know, it hasn't really creeped me out yet. I've had some people comment on my status of reading it on Goodreads, like, oh my god, is that book gonna be okay for you? And I'm like, y'all really don't know what my triggers are, because like ghost stuff doesn't really bother me. Like so far this hasn't. I think some of the stuff that might bother me might be more at the end, but I mean definitely there's a ton of triggers in here as far as like rape and just like violence and just dark gritty stuff, but nothing that like is super triggering to me thus far. I am liking the different magics of the different societies and stuff. I do think that's kind of cool as like a backdrop. It's sort of picking up now. I mean, definitely this whole mystery unraveling thing that she's trying to solve. I do kind of want to get to the point where some things start to converge, because we're getting mostly Alex's story, but like obviously stuff with Darlington before, and obviously like he's somewhere, we don't know where he is, and the new moon's coming up, so like is he coming back, like what's happening? Like I just want to kind of know, like, okay, get to the point of what happened in her past, like how did those people around her all die, what happened with him, you know, like it's getting a little too far in where I'm like, all right, can you tell me this stuff now, you know? So yeah, I'm not like loving it or hating it, like it's just fine. So we'll see how the end ends up going. I mean, it is a book that technically it could catapult itself into being like a favorite. It's just been really slow so far, and it has picked up in the last, I don't know, 50 to 70 pages, maybe, like basically since Darlington got drugged. And I've heard from a friend that like that's never really addressed, that he like got drugged, and they like had, you know, some sort of like vague sexual harassment technically, because he got drugged and then got like obsessed with Alex for like a second while he was drugged. We're just not gonna address that, but we'll see if that ends up coming back around or not. I don't know. And there is this weird like, all right, did they like each other? Did they not? Like that is very vague. I will say I think the most interesting thing so far is the bridegroom stuff. I kind of like that little plot point, and her going into death. You know how I feel about going into death. She had to cross like a river. All of that symbolism is stuff that I eat up, so I do enjoy that part. But yeah, so far I haven't really gotten to like where things start to come together, and I think that's either gonna make or break the book for me. So we'll see. Okay, it is Monday night, and I don't think I updated. Yeah, I'm on page 304, so I have read like a decent chunk. I'm like 65% of the way into this. I don't think I updated last night before I went to bed. But I've gotten to the part where like now I know officially what happened in Darlington, and now I know what happened to her before she got recruited. And this is the stuff that would have bothered me if I would have read this book last year, but I actually am not minding it so far. I think it probably could get creepier, and it might be like still triggering to me potentially, but we find out that she is able to basically like absorb spirits and use their energy in a way that like is labeled as like possession, but like that implies that the spirits have more control, and in this case she does, which is making it not bother me, because that is one of my triggers. Like I don't like that kind of like spirit stuff, but in this case it almost is like empowering, because she basically like absorbs them. Like I think the thing is like Helly was a different situation, because Helly wanted to sort of like help her like avenge her death basically, but the bridegroom like didn't want to. Like he's pretty powerful and like pretty creepy in his own right, and he didn't want her to like take him. So I view that more as like she has way more power and agency than in like a possession type scenario where the ghost has more power. So it's less creepy to me, even though you'd think that it would be just as creepy. It's not in this case right now. If stuff gets creepier later on in the book, which we might still have an issue, and I might be ending this vlog like, hey, can't finish it, but so far it's okay. So yeah, I'm glad that like now I know what is like what's happened, where Darlington maybe is. We don't really like, he was trying to say where he was, like what that portal was, or that it wasn't really a portal or whatever, and we don't really know what that is, but like the dead don't have him. Like where did he go? What is happening? So that's like a thing, but it definitely has picked up a lot like since the manuscript party basically. So it's like this like interesting like murder mystery that all the societies are tied to, like what was Tara involved in, all that stuff. I mean, yes, there is like a ton of triggering content in here generally for like the violence, the abuse, the sexual abuse, like the grooming and stuff, you know, like child grooming and like child basically like molestation and stuff. But it doesn't feel gratuitous to me, and it being written by a woman makes it less like, I don't think it's being done for like shock value. It gives a context for why Alex is the way that she is, what she's been through, like how traumatizing her life has been, how she tried to avoid like her powers for so long, and the things the spirits like did, and like how her power is so unique. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. So we'll see. I still don't know if this will be a book that I end up liking in the end. I still don't know if it's going to be a series that I'm going to want to read. Who knows? Because it is pretty dark, and I don't know if this is something that I would necessarily like look forward to, you know what I mean? So it still could kind of go either way. Right now it's sitting at like a 3.5 stars maybe, so that has potential to like go down if the end of the book is bad, or go up if the end of the book is good. So we'll see, but I'm hoping to finish this week, like before Halloween, because I would like to squeeze one more book in. Don't know if that'll happen, but yeah, this is less, so far it's like less scary than some other books that I've read this month. I'm not finding it quite as like eerie and stuff, like a little bit disturbing, yeah, but like not necessarily what I thought, because I was so prepared for it to go really south, which it still could, but you know. So that's it so far. Hi, so it is Wednesday. I'm actually going to talk about the stuff that I read yesterday, Tuesday, because I'm about to start reading for the night, hoping to finish it. So last night I read the New Moon Ritual and trying to call him back, which like you obviously know before it happens, like it's not going to work or something's going to go wrong with him coming back. So him having been like eaten by a hell beast, I was like, I still don't think he's like gone, right? Because they're saying like, oh, you know, no one can survive that, blah blah blah, besides a demon, which like I don't think he's a demon because then he would have some kind of like other powers, but I could be wrong. It just was a little bit odd that they like kept mentioning that, and I was like, oh god, are we bringing demons into this? But you know, that's why he's not in like death, because you know your spirit's just like gone. But I don't think he's gone, just because it doesn't really make sense to like follow that character for such a short period of time and have him gone, you know? It just narratively it wouldn't make sense. So I don't think he's gone. But everyone else obviously thinks he's gone. And then finding out all the connections with the mystery as far as like Tara and Lance and the portal magic and the, is it called Merity, I think, and everything, and all that like web, that I find that like mystery web very interesting, so liked that. And then I just read the scene where like Blake tried to murder her because he's a piece of shit. I mean, he was already a rapist, now he's like an attempted murderer, like he just sucks. And Dawes killed him. Yay. So excited about that, just because I'm like, Dawes is really growing on me as a character. I wasn't really sure at the beginning if she was going to be anybody important, and I'm really liking like the unlikely alliance that they are forming, like unlikely friendship kind of thing. So I'm hoping to finish this up tonight. Still kind of just sitting at like a, I don't know, 3 stars. Again, I don't know if Darlington comes back. I'm like, okay, am I being influenced by like the fandom too? Because I have seen people like Darlington. I'm just kind of like, okay, I feel like he's not gone then, because like we don't have enough content with him to really like love him as a character. Like this is mostly Alex, so we'll see. But hoping to finish this tonight. I think I could, unless it gets like really spooky and like I can't read it at the pace that I'm reading. I hope I can finish it tonight, because usually when reading, I have about 50 pages left, and usually I've been reading like 30 pages on like work nights. And if I have about 50 left, I should be able to finish it. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I just finished it. I actually enjoyed that more than I thought I was going to. Not like a favorite, but like a solid first book in a series, in my opinion. I totally get why some people don't like it though. And the end was like a little rushed in comparison to the beginning that was way slower. But in the end, like I liked all the mystery, so found out that it wasn't Blake. He had a compulsion coin. The dean is who did everything, so that whole twist was really cool. And like not completely, you know, out of left field or anything, but then the whole reveal of the other teacher being actually Daisy, who is a wheel walker, like this whole reveal was very cool. The symbolism of before she talked to the dean at the party, of like Alex bringing her tattoos back, I thought was pretty cool. And then, you know, revealing that Daisy was what was creating all these nexuses, that she was like stealing souls. It's interesting because, like I mentioned earlier, typically speaking, themes of like possession and stuff bother me. But since this was ghosts, and ghosts that were like human, it bothered me less. For some reason, this really made me think of the movie The Skeleton Key. If you've seen it, it has like some like voodoo stuff in it, you know, not like accurate, you know, I don't know how good of a movie it actually is. However, it made me think of it because like the villains in there are like ghosts that like basically like take bodies. In my peak anxiety, this would have still been very creepy. It's just less so now. So yeah, so that whole reveal was cool, and that whole like what Alex did to defeat her by like calling the other ghosts up, I thought was cool. It was like a better version of the scene in Rise of Skywalker where Rey calls the Jedi, because it like this is what I would have wanted out of that scene, like Force ghosts. I'm going on a tangent now. But like them all coming and like defending her, I thought that was really cool. I think that's what makes this, like those themes of ghosts and stuff, less scary, is that Alex has so much power over them, and like she's like, you know, the thing the darkness fears kind of, And I really like that. I like that energy. That yeah, that is very like empowering instead of scary, in my opinion, for me personally. So yeah, I liked all that. And then the end, I know I mentioned in my like right before this that I was like, oh, like, there's no way that Darlington's like a demon. Now she's like, he's a demon. I don't get how that happened. I mean, I don't think it was fully explained in here, but that was like a jump. You know, her saying, well, he must have killed someone, and that's how he can transform into a demon, and that whole thing was like him. I'm like, what? What? Like, I don't know about all that, but I'm kind of more willing to continue with the series. I think I will continue with the series. I like the wheel walker stuff. I like, you know, the mystery. I like all of the societies and stuff. Like, I think all that's really cool. Alex as a protagonist grew on me. She's not like my favorite, but again, sort of embodies those like classic urban fantasy tropes of like the hard ass, you know, like very guarded, lots of trauma. Like, this is very typical urban fantasy, you know, tropes. So I'm kind of like more okay with than I think a lot of people would be. And I liked her more at the end. Like, I love her like embracing that ability. And yeah, like the wheel walker. I liked a lot of just like the references to like actual magical stuff like crystals and tarot and stuff. There were some references to dream catchers that I was like, because like she's not native. I mean, she might be like native, like if her dad's Mexican or something, but like not from the tribe that uses dream catchers. I mean, maybe she is, but like I don't think so. That's not what I was getting. So I was a little bit like, nuh-uh. But there's like 2 mentions of that are very offhand, just as like a new age thing, and so I get that mistake. Not everyone knows about that kind of stuff. But yeah, interested, speaking of her dad, interested in like who her dad may be, because her mom was like, you know, being with him was like being like an arsenic drinker, you know, like you're drinking poison. And when he met her mom, you know, the grandma, who seems like a little bit magical, he like pieced out. So I'm like, okay, like what is that? So I'm sure like her heritage is gonna pop up later on. But yeah, I would say 3.5 to 3.75, like not quite a 4-star for me, I think, because like the beginning was just a little bit too slow, and like a little muddled there, but like a solid beginning of a series. I think that is true for a lot of first books in fantasy series for me. I mean, some I really do love, you know, there's some exceptions to this rule, especially a lot of the ones that I've actually read this year, to be honest. But generally speaking, like they're foundational books, you know, like a lot of the first part of this book was just explaining the world and like the societies and introducing you to all the stuff. So yeah. So they're trying to go to hell to get Darlington back. I'm kind of like, I'm like, you'd think that I'd be like, fuck that. But traveling to the underworld, like she goes to like the in-between, you know, worlds. And the fact that there's multiple different like in-between worlds, you know, means there's probably multiple different underworlds. Like that concept, like the traveling between life and death, you know, I love that shit. I love it so much. So I'm kind of like, okay. I mean, that book's not even coming out until 2021, and I don't really want to like reread this book before that comes out. So hopefully I'll remember a lot of stuff, or just read like a recap or watch this video. Future me, hello. Hopefully I'm giving you enough information that so that you'll be okay to read the next one. I think I went into this with such low expectations and so many people not liking it. I mean, it was very polarizing. People either loved it or hated it. And I'm actually right in the middle, which is kind of odd. I mean, like I liked it a little bit more than right in the middle, but like more in the middle, and I thought I was either going to love it or hate it. Leaning more towards thinking I was going to hate it, actually. And you know, for a while there, I thought I was never going to read this book. So yeah, it's kind of wild that I'm like, yeah, it was fine. It was okay. I was, you know, yes, a ton of triggers, but it's an adult book. It falls in like that urban fantasy feel, with like some dark academia. I kind of enjoyed it. So that is it for my reaction to Ninth House. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts on Ninth House. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.